Choosing an appropriate journal for the publication of your work can seem like quite a complicated and daunting task, especially if it's your first time. After all, there are so many journals to choose from, and more are springing up all the time. There are no shortcuts to getting this choice right, but you can definitely make things easier for yourself by having a strategy. Here we've broken it down to 3 essential components that should be a good fit. The order in which you think about these is as important as the fit between them because it will minimize the time that you spend on this task. Let's start with your research question. This might already suggest to you which kind of journal would be right, or a particular journal might immediately jump out at you as the only sensible choice. However, it's important at this stage to be self-critical and double-check how well you have actually answered your research question. That isn't a trivial point, because one of the most common reasons for which manuscripts are rejected is that they don't answer the research question posed in the introduction sufficiently or convincingly enough. If you really have answered your research question fully and convincingly, that's good. If not, what should you do? Well, another common reason for which manuscripts are rejected is that they are over-ambitious. So, although it might seem strange to you, you should consider resizing your research question. A persuasive reason for doing this is that you might well have to publish your findings as they stand, either to establish precedent in the area or to make sure that you get a publication in the face of competition from other groups that are working on the same topic, or, of course, to make sure that you get a publication during your PhD. Bear in mind, often researchers fail to get useful small publications because they are focused on the big story. The danger is, of course, that they might be scooped on all parts of the story if they don't publish anything along the way. Now that you are satisfied that your research question and conclusions fit each other well, it's time to look around for a journal of the right level, scope, and article types. Article types is easy because if you've done primary research, you'll be looking for a journal that publishes primary research papers, and those are usually easy to identify. Scope refers to the research area and the kind of research that a journal publishes. For this, you need to become familiar with journals in your area. How do they describe themselves? What do they routinely publish? Do they have a preference for basic research over applied research, or vice versa? There's no shortcut to this bit of the puzzle, but we've covered it in detail elsewhere in this learning path. The level of a journal refers here to the kind of insights that it will publish. For example, does it go for groundbreaking research of interest to a very broad readership? Does it publish technical reports that are judged largely on their correctness rather than impact? Does it publish for a very specialist readership? Your research question, that is, its impact, field specificity, general interest and so forth, and how you've answered it, will determine the level of the journal in which it would be advisable for you to seek publication. Be realistic here, because aiming too high can waste valuable time, and that might be important in setting precedent or not being scooped by others. This 3-part process also largely applies to review papers, particularly ones that synthesize literature into more than the sum of the parts. Here you will be addressing an outstanding question or paradigm shift in the field, for example, and aiming to advance the community's thinking with your contribution. Remember, when writing a review paper, it's a good idea to write a pre-submission inquiry to the editor first. Of course, there are many smaller parts of the jigsaw puzzle, but if these 3 high-level ones fit well, you've basically maximized your chances of publication, assuming, of course, that you've optimized everything else.